All right, guys, welcome to On the Mic with JB Banda. Today, my special guest is a young entrepreneur, property developer. Is into the rental game, and today he's gonna tell us exactly how to do everything that we can do in the market. It's my boy. It's Zayyan Amani. How you doing, bro? How's it going, Zayyan? How you
Good,
doing,
man.
bro?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the time that you're taking out to obviously have a chat with me.
Nah, man, thank you so much. But for everybody that's listening that doesn't know, me and Zan go way back. I think I'm talking maybe like '07, maybe last time like we linked up
I'm
Reddit.
quite, I'm quite bad with my dates, man, but around, I mean, like
Around about that time, man.
I was young, man. I was like 15 or something.
Yeah, like we're talking way back. But yeah, no, he's a good young entrepreneur, and just wanna I brought him in on the podcast today for him to talk about his story, his success, and his up and down, and he's just gonna talk us through how he went from finishing uni to where he is now. So bro, if you can just explain to the people, obviously you finished your uni, you qualified. Why did you do a uni, by the way?
So yeah, I went to uni in Aston, Birmingham, Aston University, Birmingham. I did business management, public policy. It was a good experience. I'll be straight, but I think like when it comes to people being entrepreneurs and things of that nature, starting your own business, you can't just rely on having a degree. You've got to have you've got to learn yourself. You've got to develop yourself. You can't just rely on the knowledge that they give you. You've got to search and explore other knowledge as well. You can't
Yeah.
just rely.
So what would you say? Like, obviously, there's a lot of people, young people that are, at the minute, they kind of tossing whether they should go to uni or whether would you recommend any kid out there that's trying to think of going to uni to definitely do it? Is it like definitely 100% do it, or is it worth the money? Like, what would you say about that?
To be fair, I think it depends on everyone's own situation. If they're from a wealthy family and they can afford to go there without taking on any loans and things like that, I think go and do it because it's a good experience. The thing is, I would I think the experience of uni is amazing. You get independent. Well, I did anyway. I learned loads of new skills and things like that. But ultimately, like, if you're going to be going to university, it should be going for like a subject where you need to go. Like, if you want to be a lawyer, then you have to go university. If you want to be a doctor, you have to go. If you want to be a pharmacist, you have to go. But if we're talking specifically business, you don't need a degree to do business. You do business. You just do it. You don't need a degree to do business. You do business,
Yeah.
so like, for anyone if you're just looking strictly at, like, we're not looking at like making friends and going partying, getting girls and guys or whoever's watching. I think it's important to, just realize, okay, what are you going to go for? If you're going to go just for fun, then fine, go do it, get an experience. But if you're looking at as a progression for your business or whatever, you can get started and not getting yourself into debt by just starting to work as opposed to getting into a university.
Would you say like a lot of people, most people go to uni kind of to find themselves? A lot of people kind of like just say, listen, I'm going to uni because I don't really know what I want, but I'll do this uni thing and then find friends and then maybe fall into some. Do you reckon a lot of people do that? And do you reckon it's important for people to take a gap year rather than just jump straight into uni?
Yes, mate, that's a really good point, actually, because yeah, that's, to be fair with you, mate, that's exactly what I did. Because a lot of parents tell you like, oh, I want you to go to uni and things like that. But when you're 18 years old, 17, 18 years old, at that time you think you're an adult, you think you're old, but you're not. You know nothing. I knew nothing back then, so I was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go there. I just went to uni because at that age I didn't know of any other choice. I didn't know that there was any other avenue for me to go. I thought I just have to go to uni because that's what we're told to do. So I went
Yeah.
to uni. But I think, yeah, like, if you're going to go to uni, you should just go for, like, because you want to go, like, and that you need to go for this, for the subject. But like, yeah, man, I think yeah, it's a tough one. I think
It's a
taking a
tough
gap
one. Yeah.
year is good.
Yeah.
That's what my sister, my little sister, she took a gap year, and
Yeah.
now she's gone back. She actually has gone to uni because she's figured out what she wants to do. So
Yeah.
that was good, because when I did business management, and business management is just so broad. Like
Yeah.
it's not niche. It's not niche at all. So
Yeah.
for me, I necessarily didn't really have to go, to be fair.
Yeah. No, that's good. So obviously you did the uni thing. How long was your degree at uni?
Yeah, it was a four years at uni, and then one placement year.
Yeah, and after you finished that, what like talk to us through obviously getting your degree at Aston, and then what did you do then? You've got your degree. Like talk us through what happened after that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man. I'll tell you. So, obviously, from the back of this like conversation we're having, obviously, I had a little Facebook post that
Yeah,
I know it had quite a lot of, it had quite a good. It was like 180 likes, like almost 100 comments, which is kind of good. I
yeah,
never, especially on Facebook, you don't get a lot of like engagement, right? But
engagement.
I did,
Yeah,
yeah. So this was a really good post that I did. But basically, I had like a midlife crisis. I went through a midlife crisis at the age of what? How old was I? I think I was 24.
yeah. It's crazy
I
because like I seen
really,
it. I seen it on your but when you posted that, I seen that. And you was like midlife crisis at 24, and I was like, rah, that's like mad because most people be like going through midlife crisis at like 45, 50.
exactly,
You know,
exactly.
like at 24, like what do you mean by midlife crisis? Like explain to us what were you going through that you thought at that age, like, whoa, the world
Do
is
you know what it
crumbling.
is, man? I think it all comes down to like when people are like, oh, it's a midlife crisis is just a word to describe it. But I personally think you can go through a crisis at any age. It was a crisis, not a midlife crisis. It was like a third life crisis or quarter life, whatever you want to call it. But at the
Yeah.
same time, whatever it is, it's a crisis
Mm.
that was going on, right? And kind of what happened was, I mean, like I was in university, but I'll tell you straight, like I was very chilled. I was very chilled out kind of guy. I was very go with the flow. I was like, I know that I always had good ambitions and things like that. I always just knew in my head that things would work out, but I didn't
Yeah.
necessarily work towards it at that point in time.
Yeah.
And I mean, like once I finished university, I didn't actually finish when I should have finished. I mean, like I had a couple more exams to do in the summer, and
Yeah.
that pushed back my graduation.
Yeah.
And then I had lost like a few relationships at this point as well, a bit of a torn heart, a bit of heartbreak, things like that. I had no money. I was in
Yeah.
debt. I was in overdraft. I owed family members money, and all of these things together
Mm.
literally made a crisis. Like it was a catalyst. All these things together, like not passing university, graduating at the right time, not having any money, being in debt, not having a job, no graduate role. I didn't do anything like that, and then obviously losing relationships. I was in a bad spot, man. I was in a bad spot, and during this time, I mean, like I'll read what I said. I can read a little bit of what I said in my in my post. But then I said, what did I do? So like during this time, I was doing everything I could to learn, from my mistakes, and like I wanted to just make this feeling go away. It was like depression and anxiety. I wanted to make this feeling go away, and so I was learning things like from psychology, relationships, hormones. I was learning about nutrition. Then I went into like the business side of things, forex, stocks, property, marketing, all of this stuff because. To be fair with you, man, I was just using that as like therapy. I'll be straight up with you, man. It was like therapy for me because I was waking up feeling like worthless. So I was just trying to think to myself, what can I do? I need to get my knowledge up, things like that. And then it was really helping me, to be fair with you, man.
So where were you at this point? Were you back with your moms and staying in the family house? And then did you have a job at this point? Like, or what were you doing?
Yeah. So I was basically, so I just got to move this dog out of the way. I was with family. Yeah, I was with family. Didn't have a job, and I was like, during this point, man. I mean, like, it's so hard. It was so hard to get a job when your mindset was just not on it. My mindset was not on it. I was just down in the dumps for friggin' like 8 months. And then that saying, like, and then I started, then I kind of got out of it because then I was like, okay, you know what? I need to get a job. I need to do something. Yeah. So I got my ass up, and I started to interview at some places. I started doing like assessment days, and that's when my confidence in myself started to go up again, because we were in a setting where there's a group interview. And then when we were in the group interview and I was seeing other people, and because obviously I was learning at the time, developing myself, I was answering questions really well. And I was doing better than other people, and that made me feel good. Yeah, that boosted me up. And you know that saying, like, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
I was doing that all day. I was doing that every day. I felt like I was faking it until I made it. And then from that point, I managed to secure a sales role in the US,
Okay.
based out in the US. And then
What were
from
you
there,
selling?
so that was software. That was project management software is like the best way to describe it. But it was really good. I mean, it helped save companies money. It was innovative. At the moment, I mean, I don't work for the company now, obviously, but they literally just got purchased by Adobe for like £1 billion. So that's crazy. So it was a really good company. Loved it. Good culture. They flew me out to Vegas in my first week. And when I went there, when they flew me to Vegas, that's when I was up in this hotel, up, where you could basically see the skyline of Vegas. And I was up there, and I was like, literally, then all of my depression and worries, it melted away. I was like, damn, man. I was like, no one can do it like this. I was like, no one's doing it like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really good.
And at that, obviously, at that, you were what, 24 still at that age?
Yeah, so that's when, I was 24 then. Yeah, I was 24.
Yeah. So you worked for this company. How long did you work for the software company?
So I wasn't there for that long.
Yeah.
I was only there. So, I mean, like, if we're going to go into like the business aspect of things, so like when I was in uni, I did learn about the concept of like passive income. And obviously we've spoken about passive income a lot.
Yeah.
But just for anyone who doesn't really know what passive income is, it's basically when you work for something, you put in an initial amount of effort, and then that income will then pay you month after month. And a good example is like a rental property. If you buy a house or something and then you rent it out every month, you're going to be getting income every single month. That's a really good example of passive income. But yeah, so whilst I learnt about that, I always knew to myself that I didn't want a job for too long. I wanted to get off. So yeah, I always knew that I wanted to get a passive income. So about 6 months into work, that's when I kind of took my leap into the business that I'm doing now. And then 12 months later, after starting my business, then I managed to quit my job. So I was only working there for actually 18 months. I've only been employed for 18 months of my life.
Yeah. So you did that job, and obviously you worked for them. Then what made you transition from the software and then to start to get into the property? Like, is that the next venture that you go into straight after that? Was it straight into the property game?
Yeah, so I actually did it at the same time. So while I was working, that's when I started the business, because I thought to myself, because I think that's a mistake that a lot of people make, is that they think, oh, I want to start something new, I need to start a business or something, and then they think that they need to quit their job to start that business.
No.
And I think that's a really big mistake, because what happens is that you get into a mindset of scarcity, because once you quit your job, you don't have income coming in, and then you try and start something new, you're in that mindset of like, oh damn, I have got no paycheck, and then you're stressing yourself out trying to make a business work, and ultimately you can't make a business work when you're under stress. And especially when you're under like a mad time constraint. You might be like, oh, I've only saved enough for 2 or 3 months of my expenses, and then after 3 months, if you haven't made it work, you've got to go back to work. And then so that's why I worked at the same time as doing my business, got the business running, and then I was in a position where the business was making enough money that I could cover my expenses and then leave my job without having to actually break into the bank of savings, you know?
I think that's a good point you've just made there. Like, it is true. Like, a lot of people think like starting a business, they have to, like, you know, quit your job. And you see all these quotes on Instagram everywhere, you know, leave the 9-to-5 job and then, you know, start a business and be your own boss. But what people tend to forget is the fact that, you know, a 9-to-5 job is that it's a 9-to-5. You can do your job, go home, forget about it, go back to work, and then you do your thing, and then go home and do your thing. But a lot of people, like, if you're doing a full-time like business, like, it's not 9-to-5, it's like 24/7. That's what people forget. You go from a 9-to-5 to 24/7 because you like answering emails at awkward hours, and you're putting in so much work because you don't have a boss. You are the own boss, and if you want money to come in, you actually work harder than a 9 to 5. And I feel like a lot of
Exactly.
people think like owning a business or running a business means you don't work as hard. Actually, it's the opposite.
It
You
is.
work 3 times harder when you're running a business, because like, nobody's gonna bring in the income. You have to go out there, you have to get the business. And I feel like that's a very good point. Like, people need to start, need to start with, whilst they're working, then they can start a side hustle, and then build
Exactly.
on that side hustle to then let that side hustle surpass their income that they're getting at a 9 to 5 job. And then they can think, listen, I'm making more money that on my side hustle than I am in work. Now this business is viable for me to do it full time. Do you see what I mean?
Exactly, mate. I mean, you hit the nail on the head right there, man. That's exactly what I would say for people to do. That's especially when people are asking me, what should I do? What should I start with? Especially when they have like, I want to start a business, I want to start this and that. I always say to people, you know what? I think the best way is actually get a job first. It doesn't have to be an amazing job, but just get a job first. Get your income up. You need to have some money first. Then once you have money coming in, use that money to start a business, still earning money from your job to pay for your stuff that you need. Then, like you said, until that income from your side hustle matches or surpasses it, then you have the choice. It's all about choice in life. You need to have options. So then I know there are people who will love working, and then they love the culture, they love working with people. But then, so I mean, and then you can still carry on working, but you have the choice. So you're not working there because you have to. You're working there because you want to. And
That's
I
the
think
difference. That's the difference. That's important. So talk to us. Obviously, you're working at the software company, and then you started your side. How did you get into the property game? Like, did you do a course, or like how did you get into it? Because I actually did a course on the rental property, the game with I don't know if you watched. There's a guy called an American guy called Brian Page in America. It was on the
yeah,
Grand
yeah,
Cardone.
yeah.
It was on the
Yeah,
Grand
yeah.
Cardone. Like
He does the Airbnb stuff, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
I did a
yeah.
course with him, and
Right.
we're talking 2019. I did a course with him, and his course is the Airbnb game, and rent to rent as well. So he
Yeah,
teaches you, like, you don't have to have property. You can go into that game. And I come across it through Grant Cardone. Obviously, a lot of people know who Grant Cardone is. He's real estate tycoon, like he's proper big in property. So that's
mhm.
how I got into it. And when I seen you posted a few things about it, and I was like, no way, I need to get there. Like, I need to get there, and like, I need to have a chat with this guy, because he knows. And I could see, like, you had a lot of people. You started your own page on Facebook, and a lot of people joined in. I had a lot of members. So I just want to just talk to us. How did you get into it?
I mean, to be fair with you, I've done loads of different online kind of income streams in the past, as you know. I mean, like, we've both been in like network marketing at some point in our lives. We've done like personal training. I think both of us have done personal training, things like that. And like, I came across it on YouTube. First of all, I came across this business model on YouTube, and I was like, this is really interesting. I was like, this is a way that you can enter the property market and make money from property without having to buy it. So that first of all sparked my interest, because I was already wanting to get into property. I already knew about the property market, but I didn't know about this specific business model. And the thing is, it's not like a secret business model. I mean,
No.
this has been going on for a really long time. It's just that it's unheard of. People just don't know you can do it. But it's legit. And once you're in the game and you're in the fucking ecosystem, you know that there are loads of people who do this. There's tons and tons, there's thousands of people who do this business model. And first of all, I mean, like, it was a risk. When I first did it, it was a risk. But ultimately, like, it paid off. I've done loads of things in the past, as I mentioned. I've made money in all of them. Then I tried this one out because I looked at the data. I was looking at the market research and things like that. And I was like, you know what, this could work. So I had to obviously take a risk. I mean, you don't know if it's going to work until you try. And I started it. I made like in my first month. So I'll quick should I go over how it kind of works now?
Yeah. Like, talk to us through, like, obviously how you start. Like, so how much did you have towards you, and how did you get into it? Like, talk to us through that.
Yeah, I mean, so like I said, I was researching on YouTube,
Yeah.
ways to get into property, low money down, like how to get into property without having tens of thousands of pounds. Then I found out this strategy, which was rental arbitrage, rent to rent, which is basically where you lease a property for a certain number of years, maybe say 3 to 5 years. Because we're leasing it for such a long time, we will get a discount on that lease,
Okay.
and then we will then arbitrage it and then rent it out, either like a house room by room to make more money, or we'll rent it on a short-term basis like Airbnb, charging like 100 or 200 pounds per night, which you're going to then make your money and profit on top of. So the way I like to kind of describe it is kind of like a luxury car rental company.
Yeah.
The way that they do it is that they would lease a Ferrari. They don't buy any of the cars, they lease them. So they'll lease a Ferrari for say £5,000 a month, and then they will rent it out for, let's say, £500 a day. If they rented it out for 30 days, they made 15 grand minus the 5 grand lease, they've made 10 grand. That's the same thing that we do, but we do it with property. And people don't really realize that you can do that. But yeah,
100%. No, that's true. A lot of people do not realize. They think like for you to get into the property game, you have to own property. And I think that's the one thing I liked when I came across Brian Page, and I was like, whoa, I didn't know you could do this and you could get into the game this way. But it's literally it's good. So how much did you have with you, and in terms of cash, like liquid, how much did you have, and what was the
cool.
property?
Yeah, cool. So when you're looking at this kind of business model, what you're looking at is there are costs to it, and usually the costs are like the first month's rent, deposit, and furniture. Those are the three costs. And obviously you need insurance and stuff, but you usually do that on the business. Yeah. So if we're actually just taking on a unit, you just need furniture, you need rent, and you need deposit. And I took on my very first one was really small. I wanted to do the lowest risk possible. So I just took on a 1-bedroom apartment, and I put in, with rent, deposit, and furniture, it was part furnished, luckily, I put in about 2,800, 2,700, 2,800 pounds, which isn't a lot. It's not a lot, but it is a lot, but then it's not a lot because it's
not a lot in the property game. No.
Yeah, because it's a property. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a lot of money to start a business, but to actually, I'm controlling an asset. It's a property and it's tangible. Like, yo, you can stay in there. It's shelter. It's warm. It's got nice decorations and stuff, And then in my very first month, my costs, right? So I would tell you the cost for it. So it was £825 a month for the rent. And then including bills and everything like that, it was about £1,025, something around that. It's around that. That's what the fixed costs are, is about £1,025. In the very first month, this is when I very first started, I was just relying on Airbnb and booking.com, but I don't do that anymore. I mean, I still use those platforms, but we have relationships with agents now. But when I first started, in my first month, I made like £3,000 in my first month. Very first month of business. I made £3,000. So minus that 1,000, 2,000. I made £2,000 profit in the very first month. And I put in £2,800 to start with. So now I've almost broken even in the very first month.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, yo, I'm onto something here, because I do not know any business model that you can break even in like 1.5, 2, 3 months.
No, that's true.
I don't know any.
And this is the thing, like, people need to remember this, because I always say, like, a lot of people think when you start a business, like, straight away you're going to make money. There's a few businesses that you can do that. Most businesses, anybody who's been to business, which you have, you're meant to make a loss in your first year of trading. And then you're meant to break even in your second year. Your third year, that's when you're meant to actually make a profit. So when people need to understand this, like, when you're getting into business, when you're starting a business, it's like a 5-year plan. It needs to be a 5-year plan. Because if you just do it for like a year and then you stop, you're not really going to know whether that business has worked or not, because you haven't given it a full potential. So you need to give it a 5-year plan. And that's what a lot of people need to understand. Now, going back obviously on your property, so you've obviously just you've made about £2,000, which is a lot of money, a lot of profit, considering you only put in 2.8 when you started. So, and that's your first month. That's amazing. Now, did you just go straight to booking.com and Airbnb straight away when you started?
Yeah, I did. That was it, because I was a complete beginner, and
Yeah.
that's all I knew at the start. That's all I knew, to just go straight with Airbnb and booking.com, and a few other places like Expedia,
Yeah.
TripAdvisor.
So how much were you renting it out for, like a night? How much was the way you were renting it
At
out?
that time, it was like it was a good season. That was,
Yeah.
oh, don't get me wrong, yeah, it's not always $2,000 a month. I'll be honest, it's not always that. But I started at a very, very good time. It was in the summer. I
Yeah.
started in July. I started in the 1st of July, and that's when
Yeah.
I was renting that place out. And bearing in mind, it's just a 1-bedroom place. I was
Yeah.
renting it for about 100. Renting it for about £100 a night, and then there was a 30 pound cleaning fee as well.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, I was doing the cleaning.
Yeah.
I didn't hire anyone else. I was doing the cleaning because I wanted to make that money as well. I made that
Yeah.
money myself. And obviously, when you first start out, you got to grind, you got to hustle for yourself, you know.
No, that's good. And obviously a lot of people need to understand, like, with this kind of business model and getting into proper in this kind of game, location. Like it's all about location, because like you're not gonna get a lot of bookings if your place is in the sticks somewhere where it's hard to get to, and quite like to travel to there by public transport, it's quite far from the from the town. Like where was your property situated?
So actually, funny enough, I mean, like, you would think, yeah, I mean, after being in this game for 2.5 years, you would think that, oh yeah, being in the sticks, you wouldn't get any bookings. But actually, you would be surprised, because the people who want to stay in the sticks have money. I'll be straight with you. They have money, bro. They want to stay in places like that. But yeah, I mean, like the location of mine is in Caversham, so it's like in terms of like central location, it's a in my personal opinion, that's where most of my units are. They're in Caversham, Caversham, Reading, and I think that kind of area is good because it's close enough to the town centre that it takes 10 minutes drive max to get to the town center, but then it's far enough out that you're in a nice and peaceful area. There's nice country walks and parks and lakes and things like that. So there's a lot of features and like unique selling points about the area. So it's not always about necessarily location, which obviously location is super important, because straight up, you are right in the sense that most people who do book, they do want to be close to town center. But there are people who do want to have a bit of peace and a bit of like unique selling points. Is it close to the river? Is it near a hospital or whatever, that kind of stuff that you're looking at?
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. That's a good point. So okay, so that's your first property. Then how did you scale that? Like, talk us through the process then.
So yeah, I mean, like, because I'd taken on the first one, and I did that for a few months. I can't remember how long it was. It might have been like 8 months or so. I didn't like take on more and more properties, like loads and loads, because at this point I was still a beginner. And the fact is, you can't just take on any property. You know, there are certain permissions that you have to have in place, like such as a freehold, or is it a leasehold? There's different permissions, like with mortgage lenders and things like that. So there is a little bit of a learning curve to it. So it took about, I think, like 9 months or so until I took on my second one. So during this time, I was still working and making more money, making money through this first property. And just to let you know, the reason, when I didn't even know, like when I started this, I didn't know that I was going to have this business. I'll be straight up with you. Do you know what I wanted to do? I just wanted an extra £500 a month in my pocket, and that was it. That's all. That was my goal, because I was living at home. I was paying my mum £500 a month rent, and I was like, "Raw, I need to make £500 a month somewhere else so I can keep my paycheck." Now we're here. You know, I'm managing loads and loads of units at the moment. We're making good money, good income, and but yeah. So like, it took me about 9 months or so until I took on my second unit. And then after I took on my second unit, it was about 2 months after that. Then I took on my third unit. So my second unit, again, was a 1-bedroom flat. About 2 months later after that, and the costs are pretty much the same as the first one that I mentioned earlier. And then I took on a 3-bedroom house about 2 months later, using the same money, the profits. I'm reinvesting the profits. I'm not taking any money out of my pockets now. This is all from the business, all the money that's been made from the business. Taking on another property, a 3-bedroom house. And then from there, I actually did a little training. I actually went on a mentorship at this point. And then, just because even though I was still making good money and I was doing this all by myself, one thing I did realize was that because I was doing it by myself, it was taking me a lot longer than what it should have, or
Yeah.
I could definitely have shortened my learning curve if I had a mentor or I learned from someone earlier.
Mm.
But anyway, so after about being in the game for about 1 year, then I got a mentor. I learned from them, and then I learned all the ins and outs, all the things I was missing, got all the proper documentation, everything that I needed, all in one place. And then from there, my business just blew up, man. And I friggin' took on multiple properties. Within like 6 weeks, I tripled my business because I took on so many units
Wow.
following.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Obviously, like what yeah, because I remember like when you was up in Spain, you was everywhere at one point. How did you deal with when COVID hit? Because obviously you was actually in Spain, I think, in quarantine
Yeah,
there when it
but
hit,
yeah,
you got held up there. Like
yeah.
how did you deal with that? Obviously, at the minute your property is booming. And at that point, once you got the course done and you knew exactly what to do, you had the the recipe sort of it, the
Yeah.
process dialed in. Did you then leave your software company at the then? Did you just be like, okay,
So,
now I'm gonna
so
focus?
actually, so just so when did I leave the software company? So I left the software company. Actually, so when I first started, and I got my, I was 6 months in to my career when I was working when I was working at the software company. I was 6 months in, and then I started this business. I took on my first unit. 12 months later, or 11 months later, when I had taken on my second unit, I quit my job.
Wow.
So, so I was actually working. So it took me 11 months to actually quit my job.
Yeah.
But I was working there for 18 months. And
Yeah.
then after that point, once I'd quit, I quit in the summer of 2019.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, the summer of 2019, I quit. And then from there, I chilled for a bit. I went on holidays and everything like that, and then I went on a mentorship, and then I started taking on more properties at that point. So then this was obviously then 2020 hit. So
Yeah.
I literally taken on properties in 2021, January 2021. I had taken on more properties.
Mm.
But yeah, to answer your question about COVID, and when COVID hit, like what did we do? I was in Spain, as you know, during the first lockdown. I was in Spain, and at this point, we had no idea what was going to happen. And usually with like when you have bookings on Airbnb, you have cancellation policies. So
Yeah.
if someone books with you, you might have a policy that says you can't cancel. I mean, you can cancel within, let's say, 2 days and you'll get a full refund.
Yeah.
But then we might have one. So we have those cancellation policies, but because of COVID hit, Airbnb, without consulting any of us as hosts, they allowed everyone to cancel, no penalties.
Wow.
So I was in Spain and just looking at my phone, and I'm getting notification, cancellation. Tens of thousands of pounds of cancellations are coming through, and I'm just everyone. And obviously it's not just me, but everyone is just shitting themselves. They're just like, what the frick is going on here?
Yeah.
And I'll be straight with you, man. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do for for a few weeks. I didn't know what I was going to do. But then, and this was a blessing in disguise. I'll be straight with you. COVID was in a way a blessing in disguise, because all of my competitors, or I would say most of my competitors, have now been wiped out. Yeah, that's not a good thing in terms of like their business, right? Because it's a sad time that people are losing their businesses. But at the end of the day, it is competition, right? And that's the one thing that you have to look at in business, that sometimes you do have to be a little bit ruthless. But what happened was that everyone could have carried on operating, but what people didn't realize was that they thought that they had to just rely on Airbnb and things like that. That's when I really took my business model away from Airbnb and Booking.com, and we made our own platform for people to book on. We were working with other agencies where people would then stay for a longer period of time. We're working with key workers and things like that. So because at this point in time, no one was allowed to travel, no one was allowed to book. Only key workers were, or people who were staying for like over 30 days. So that's when we pivoted the business model from short-term stays to mid to long-term stays. And that's where where it's legal, and then that's how we kind of still manage to grow the business.
That is such a good point that you just mentioned there, and a lot of people need to know. Like sometimes you start a business and you're going one way, it's working, and then you come up a big challenge like COVID does, and a lot of people, because they're so stuck in one dimensional, they can't pivot. And that's a very, very good point there you just mentioned. Like it's all about knowing when to change it up and switch it up. Like a lot of businesses have gone under because they haven't even realized that there is a way they can move their platform, maybe from like a store, if you're running a store, to an online store and go that way. A lot of people have just thought, well, there's nothing I can do, I'm just gonna close my doors. And it's a valid point that you've just made. Like when you're in business, you need to know that when you're forced with all those challenges, you need to find a way to kind of like, it's like a caterpillar. You need to, to transform your business.
Exactly. It's true, bro. Good analogy.
Yeah. Now, so obviously you pivoted. You started then focusing more on key workers. So because there was a lot of nurses and all these that couldn't stay in their houses, they need to isolate from their family.
Exactly.
So you started you tapped into that.
Exactly.
Wow,
exactly.
that's amazing, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's what we had to do. So I mean, like, and luckily that kind of made me realize as well that I actually preferred this business model. I mean, well, the pivot was from short term to like midterm,
Yeah.
And I kind of realized that I prefer this because now people are staying for 1, 2, 3 months. I am giving them, and obviously at this point in time, I'm not even thinking to myself, "Raw, I need to make loads of money."
No.
I'm thinking, "Damn, I need to survive."
Yeah.
That's what, and I think that's the goal for everyone at that point. Is like, if you could survive this whole pandemic, then that shows something not just about you, but also that the business model that you're doing is viable as
legit.
well.
I
think if you can survive the pandemic, then your business model is viable. And the thing is, in a way, it is bulletproof, because I mean, like, not to say that we were making. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I was projecting last year's income before Corona to be crazy. I was expecting the projections to be like out of this world, and obviously now things are not. It's not the same as we originally thought. But because we still managed to pivot, to these midterm stays, what happened was we were making less money. Because I said to them that they're staying for a longer time, so I'm giving them a bigger discount. However, the caveat to that was that we were putting in a lot less effort, because I had the people in there as opposed to 1 week changeovers.
Absolutely,
for 1, 2, or 3 months. We don't have to have cleaners coming in all the time. We don't have to be checking people in and out. We just let it go. So I think it kind of equaled out, that because I'm putting in less time and effort and I'm making less money, but it kind of equalizes. And for me, I'm the kind of person that, my effort and time is worth way more than any sum of money. I'll be straight with you. That's why I think my effort and my time is like almost priceless to me, because you can never get your time back. You can always make more money, but you'll never make your time back.
So how are you, like, where are you now with the business? Honestly, like, you've traded since last year COVID started, like you pivoted with the business. You're now kind of doing the long-term rentals and in that area with key workers and things like that. Like, where are you now with the model? Are you still gonna keep that model, or are you gonna still, once everything goes back to normal, still tap into that Airbnb market? So then you've got both, and then you've got kind of two streams of income coming in.
Yeah, sure. I think, well, right now what we're doing is I think it's just best to go for long-term bookings now. That's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in people booking in for like 4 days, 7 days. The only way I'll accept it is if they pay a lot more. They have to pay a good sum of money for that, because now I've realized that there is a market now for people who are staying for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. Like, I think I've got someone who's staying in one of my properties. It's just a couple. There's 4 people. I mean, there's 4 bedrooms, and there's just a couple, 2 people, and they're paying frigging £5,000 a month.
Wow.
And there's 2 of them. They're paying $5,000 a month to stay in this property, and it's not even him paying. I think his work is paying for him. It's an expense for him. He works. But anyway, I've realized now that there is a market. There is a market for these type of stays, and there are people who actually do have a lot of money who are willing to pay higher rates for these type of stays. And I think that's where I want to focus it on now, is to more kind of serve people who are maybe a bit more higher end, who would spend a bit more money but also stay for a longer period of time.
Yeah, so kind of like upmarket, a little bit more luxury,
Yeah,
and yeah, kind of people that are coming into town to work on a short contract with their business,
yeah,
and then their business is paying for
exactly,
them. So those are the
exactly. That's
those
what
are
the
the
guys do.
those are the
Yeah.
ideas that you kind of focused on now. That's really, really good, man. So now with this business, is it just yourself running it, or have you got like other
So
multiple people
actually,
that have joined in with you, or
yeah.
is it just you?
So yeah, no, I have on some of the properties I do them myself, and then I actually on two of the properties I do with my mum. I actually got my mum
Wow,
involved.
that's
Yeah,
amazing.
I got her involved because she's always been in, like, she always liked property.
Yeah,
She wanted to get involved, so I was like, okay, cool, let's do that together.
that's
And then
really good.
I have two other business partners, which are separate ones. I have one partner that I do like a joint venture with, and then I have another partner that I do another joint venture with, and that's a property down in London. And
Yeah,
funnily enough, I'm like, it's crazy because the thing I love about this business model is that if I wanted to do this in London, and had to buy this property, the property in London is worth £1 million,
wow.
which is crazy. And if you wanted to buy that property to do this rental business, you need about a 25% deposit and stamp duty. You're looking at honestly about 300 grand.
Yeah,
You would need 300 grand to buy that house and then
yeah,
start renting it out.
nearly
With a
half a mil.
It's mad. It's mad. Yeah.
Yeah,
But then because of this business model, I actually put in just a bit over £10,000
yeah.
to then control the asset. We've got a lease on it for 5 years, and we're controlling that asset. So as opposed to me putting in 300 grand to then start renting it out, we've put in 10 grand to lease it, even though we don't own it. We don't own it, so we're not going to benefit from the rise and appreciation. But
Absolutely.
it's all about cash flow. You want
Cash flow.
money.
So you're getting the instant cash flow straight away. And
Exactly.
how much are you leasing that for yourself?
That one's expensive, man. That's 2,900 a month.
Wow. So
That,
definitely if you're looking at the projections, I mean, you've put down 10K for a 5-year lease, and then you're straight away charging two and
we're looking at, like, I mean, honestly, we're looking at for that in this current period, especially once coronavirus is done, once it's finished, we're looking at a profit of like anywhere between £2,500 to £4,000 a month. After
wow.
coronavirus is done, we're looking at about £2,500 to £4,000 a month just from one property.
Yeah.
And then so for the projections over over 5-year period, we're looking at really good money, man. We're looking at really good money.
Nah, that's good. That's good. I was just gonna say, so how are you guys like doing? How can people get involved? Are you guys doing like courses for this? Are you guys teaching
Yeah,
people?
man. So
Or how
funny
can
enough,
people get involved?
yeah, definitely. Thanks for asking. So, like, especially like because of coronavirus and stuff, people had a lot more time to figure out what they wanted to do and that they wanted to get into some sort of business. And I had actually, just before coronavirus actually came around, towards the end of 2018, I started my own mentorship program, because this is a high in demand business model. And with my background that I had in sales, background that I had in marketing, I think that's the reason I was able to succeed in this business model without any training to start with, because I had the skills necessary, the sales and marketing skills to actually go out there and kind of have the confidence in myself to,
And get the business.
start
Yeah.
this business. So with those skills, I kind of thought to myself, okay, cool, I'm going to package up not just these skills. So I've got in the program that we have, it's a 3-month program. So in 3 months, you have guidance and support, and it's not a course. Although, being said, I'm in the process of making an online course, which is very, very cheap,
Yeah.
very, very flexible. But there's no one-to-one support, but there is support in WhatsApp groups and stuff. But I do actually have one-to-one mentorships and group sessions where people can join to learn about the business model. And not just learning about the business model, we will create the business with you. We go on Companies House, we'll create the business with you. We'll get it fully insured, fully compliant. I provide you with all of the documentation, the contracts, the agreements. There's certain analyzers, how to analyze a deal, how to market a deal, tenancies, all of this other type of stuff. All of that is included in the mentorship program. And I think that was a real barrier for me when I started this, because there's always a lot of fear when you're starting about compliance and like being legal and insured and having the right contracts. That's a worry for a lot of people when you start any business, that you need these documentations and certain things in place. So with the mentorship program, we have all of it there provided for you. So there's no guesswork to be done. Everything is there on a plate, in a toolbox, everything that you need from A to B to Z, everything there in one place with 3 months support. And we kind of do like weekly sessions, going through social media, going through like investors as well, having investors fund your deals. I've actually had one of my deals that was, sometimes I don't even fund all of my own deals, by the way. Like I work with investors who will fund the deals for me, and they'll get either a percentage on the return, or they'll get a profit split out of that. So there is multiple ways that you can actually get involved in this business without using your own money, because there are a lot of people who want to get involved in this who have money, but they don't have time. So they want to work with people who have the time and experience. So they're happy to actually, invest with you.
That's quite good. That's a good point there, because a lot of people obviously listening will be like, yeah, I want to do it, but like you said, they wouldn't know the legal side of things, and the fact that obviously you're gonna take them through step by step, I kind of takes that worry away to know, okay, listen, I'm signing up to this. These guys are gonna walk me through from registering a business to dealing with insurance to having the legal side to making sure my house is right, to making sure I'm getting a right property, it's furnished right, and where I'm gonna put it up, how I'm gonna lease it, how I'm gonna find people to actually lease the property. There's a lot that's involved when you delve deep, and the fact that you guys take that pressure away, I think is really really good, and it's quite key. So how can people get in touch with you, Zayyan? Where can they find you? Where can they find the information?
Find me on they can find me on Instagram, which is Zayyan Amani. Straight up, Zayyan Amani. Should I share? You can put it in the comments or something. Yeah,
I will put it in the comment.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it'll be there.
I've got a website. I mean, reach me directly on Instagram. On Instagram, I've got a YouTube channel as well. There's loads of free content on there. Just me explaining, me explaining normal business, how to make 6 figures in like your 20s, the best way that I think how. There's a lot of information about rent to rent, how to get involved into it. Just for my information on YouTube alone, you could probably go off and start your own rent to rent business. It might take you longer, but if you have the time, then obviously go for it, guys. I mean, like, there's a lot of information on there. And I have my own website as well, which is zayyanamani.com. So everything is just Zayyan Amani.
Yeah, Zayyan Amani, Facebook, Zayyan Amani.
Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
You can find him on there. Bro,
Exactly.
listen, it's been a pleasure like having you on the podcast today. Like that hour just flew by. It doesn't even feel like we've been talking for an hour.
Yeah, definitely. That was I was actually, yeah, I'm happy with that. You were good. You had good questions, and I think your responses as well were good. I liked it, man.
Thank you so much, man. Listen, thank you so much. But that's the thing. It's good because when you're talking with like-minded people, it's easy. The conversation just flows. And that's the beauty about it. And I love how passionate you are. And I've seen you come up, man. Like you said, you've been an entrepreneur for so many years. You've tried out different the network marketing, personal training. And this is one thing that people need to know. Like, as an entrepreneur, you try out so many things, and it's like, throw the mud on the wall until you see what sticks. And you found something that stuck.
Yeah.
And now you've explored it, you've got your family involved, and you're still making money through the pandemic. And that's a bulletproof business, so anybody listening to this, like, that is a great model. And after this call, me and Amani are gonna talk about how I can jump onto this, because I want to jump in. I want to get involved.
100%, man. 100%.
Thank you very much for listening in, guys. And bro, thank you so much for jumping on.
And appreciate
everybody
that.
out there that wants to get in there, make sure you get involved. Zayyan Amani on all platforms. Look him up. I'll have the information down below for you guys to find him. Make sure you subscribe, you like, you download, you share. This is going to be available on all platforms, YouTube included. So make sure you subscribe, share, and download it. And if you want to start a business and you don't know how, you want to get into property, you don't know how, you don't have money, then this model is definitely going to help you. So make sure you reach out to him, send him an email, go to his website, zayyanamani.com, and look him up there, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in on the Mic with JB, and it's been a pleasure. Hopefully everybody's safe at home, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much.